All right, so start up on the fresh engine. Got my brother here.
Hey.
Hey, Fonzie. I'm gonna plug the injectors back in.
The oil light's back on.
Yeah, it's because it's in the off position. It'll shut off once it starts.
Oh, okay.
At the funnel end to top up any coolant. We're gonna monitor this because, well, it's a healthy way of doing it. All right, go ahead and start it.
Off the clutch, yeah?
Yeah, off the clutch. You're good. It's going to start high at what you see is 1800 RPM, but it's progressively going to go down as it gets warmer. And I want you to hold that RPM right where it is. So you can move the seat forward if you want, if it's easier for you. Everything looks healthy here. Short trims are working very close. It's only removing 1% of fuel. Air fuels look a little thick, but that's because it's starting cold.
So if the RPM goes down, you press on the
Yeah, now get a feel of where the gas is. Hold it up at 2000, right there, and do that for 15 minutes. But I'm also gonna watch the engine temperature because last night when it was running, it was at like, it became 101 degrees and the thermostat didn't open because the outside temperature is way too cold. The difference in temperature is not allowing it to open. I'm gonna do a brief video over this. I have no idea what that whine is. I'm kind of concerned about it. Well, we're going to take a look from underneath. We're going to listen too. Sounds like it's the release bearing or pilot bushing. I need to put the inspection plate back on, as you can see. Down here sounds good. Doing great, brother. No abnormal noises, but there is a hell of a whine. I'm not sure exactly what that whine is, but I think it could be that FX clutch that I put in. I bought a brand new one and I heard great reviews about it, but I mean, it's worth a try. It just feels like a brake pedal. The clutch feels like a brake pedal. It shouldn't feel like that. It should feel like a spring.
Yeah.
It should feel like a loose spring. Speaking of springs, I tightened up the spring on the downhill bike.
Yeah.
And adjusted the rebound.
Yeah.
And what else was there? I replaced one of the rear spokes. I feel it handles a lot better. I took out some of the air out of the front tire because it was rolling like a balloon, the front tire. I like for it to soak up a little bit. So it's probably like 30 degrees now, or 30 PSI now. I'm gonna let it get up to 101 degrees again. I think the thermostat's not gonna open though because the outside temperature is too cold for it. Like, I can tell you that the outside temperature right now is 2 degrees. Because I'll show you in the programmer. Maybe I'll put this down so it acts as a support for it. I'm surprised I never did this of all the times I drove in data log. Shh, I didn't say that out loud. I always have a passenger with me. This is my passenger. Okay, so you can see here on the side right here, it says intake air temp 2 degrees. Yeah. And you see where it says coolant temp 66? Yeah. I've highlighted the essentials up here. Not highlight the essentials, but I've added them up here. So you can see when you're at 2000, and they suggest 2000 RPM to break it in for 15 minutes. And the time counter is down there. This is actually the data log. It tells you how long it's been recording for, but the time counter's there. I'm gonna let it go. If it makes it past, like if the thermostat opens properly, I'm gonna let it go to probably 20 minutes because there's some time for it to warm up. It's still not up to normal temperature. It's only 71. But this is exciting. Finally, fresh engine. I'm a little concerned with what that little strain of metal was, though.
Yeah.
It looked like really thin, like a bobby pin.
Yeah.
It was only maybe the length of my thumb in width, so maybe 3/4 of an inch wide. I'm gonna go over the feeling table. Go down just a little bit. Aim for 1900. That dash will be off. It'll look like you're not there yet. This one here is more accurate. Yeah, go on. See if you can aim for 1900. That's a little bit better. So there's an area you could see before in the short trims it was removing 11%. Yeah. Now it's only removing 3%. So once it's in this area, it needs some fuel removed. In that whole area right there, it needs some fuel removed. But in the area that you're in right now, and when it's taking samples from those 4 cells, it's working pretty close. It's only removing 2%. I like to see that in a 5% as like something to cruise around with. But if I'm super meticulous, I like to get it down to like the 2-3%. So you see where the coolant temp is? You see where the top says ECT?
Yeah.
Engine coolant temp. So you've seen this before coming in with me. This is your RPM of the engine.
Yeah.
This is the load.
Yeah.
This is in vacuum, that's why it's a negative. If it's in boost, then you won't see a line beside it. It'll be a positive number. Right now it's a negative number because it's in vacuum. Engine coolant temp, intake air temp. I use this a lot to calibrate between winter and summer.
Yeah.
Air fuel is constantly correcting the air fuel. If there's a difference, the ECU will correct it because I programmed like a lookup table. So the computer is constantly looking up this table right here. So if the air fuel is not that number, yeah, it'll add or remove fuel to make it that number. That's why you see this S trim is called short trim. That's the amount that the ECU is adjusting to maintain that air fuel ratio. And then this doesn't matter because this was Evan wastegate duty. Yeah. Because I had that up there for Evan just the other one, the guy with the one that you've seen at the shop with the turbo R.
Oh yeah.
The Type R. And then this is like the advance or retard of the cam. Oh. Like where it makes the power and such. Usually you see that at a higher number when you're on the throttle a lot, or a lower number when you're cruising. And then this is when the spark happens. After top dead center. Bottom dead, I think it's top dead center. Engine temp looks good, it's a 91. I'm gonna check the lower pipe to make sure that that's okay. I'm gonna put this back on the fuel table.
You know what'd be really cool?
And show differences.
If you had one of those click shifters, I could definitely do one of those.
Dog box sequential, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what Kyle has on his MR2. Yeah. So like he just taps it forward and it cuts ignition and he just presses the clutch in and it does to the next gear. It's as close as you're gonna get to like paddle shifters. Yeah. But I'm gonna check the lower pipe. Well, the lower pipe is still cool. And it doesn't feel like it has much coolant in it. I'm not sure if the thermostat is going to open. I might have to hit it with a hair dryer. The lower coolant pipe is definitely cool and it hasn't opened. I'll let that get to about 101 because 120 is like, you're going to cause big problems. And all the clearances on this engine are very tight, so I don't want to take any risks. They're not tight in the sense that they're like damaging, but they're within like the medium to low limits. of the specs for the bearings and the piston to wall clearance. I actually brought the engine back for the machine shop to cut it proper. I ended up going to, well, you know, I went off to Drummondville, I think it was. Yeah, Drummondville, Quebec, to find this block. Yeah. So that way the machine shop could do it proper the next time. But I could feel the lower rad hose. Like, so the engine has a thermostat.
Yeah.
And the thermostat opens when the engine is hot to allow the hot water into the radiator. And then the fans turn on. But the fans aren't going to turn on until the lower temp sensor is at 93. But the lower temp sensor is one that sits in the radiator, and it's right here. See, it's only 6 degrees. The one in the bottom of the radiator is only 6 degrees, but the engine is 96. You see how it's gone up to 7, 8? You see how it's progressively going up?
Yeah.
It's because the thermostat progressively bleeds into it. Very, very small. It's like a pin. It's like this much of a hole in the very bottom of the thermostat.
Oh.
That allows it to bleed into it. So I think it'll bleed properly. It's just going to take some time before this number meets this number. Then the thermostat will finally open, and you'll see temperature go into the radiator, and it'll flush. But we have to wait until the radiator fan turns on. So once the radiator fan turns on, it'll start. We know that the coolant will be in the radiator, and all the coolant's been flushed through, and it'll be cycles. See how it's at 24?
Yeah.
It's going up. I'm going to put a little bit more coolant into that funnel, into the fill funnel. Oh, it's actually good. I love that. OEM tools for the win. It's actually the pressure from the engine and the coolant is bubbling into the radiator. So there's actually quite a bit of extra in the reserve.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, that's a good thing. But I want this to get up so the thermostat opens. This means this ECT2 is telling me that the hot water is getting through the lower pipe.
Yeah.
Because this one's in the head and this one's in the radiator. Those temperature sensors. What would we do without technology?
Shit.
Since the lower hose, it's okay. Since the lower hose is getting up, I'm gonna let this go a little bit further. Yeah. I want it to get hot. Like not this, I don't want this to get hot, I want this to get hot. So I'm hoping this number climbs to at least 94 before this one reaches, like I'll let it go to 110 at the absolute most. That way it has time to cool off.
Okay. And then after it hits 110, it gets shut off, or what?
Yeah, 100%. Like maybe even 105. I'll let it go to 105 at the most. I don't want to risk it too much. I'd rather sit there with a hairdryer heating it up than...
Oh damn, look at that go.
Is it flowing over? Oh yeah. It's spitting a little bit because it's like the funnel is half full. You know how we had like this much in it?
Yeah.
It's half full.
Oh.
Because all the pressure in the system. But I think it's going to get there. When I had it started last night briefly, I didn't watch this number, but I should have watched it. You see how the number just went down a little bit?
Yeah.
Because now it's flowing through the rad.
Yeah,
I'm hoping
this vibrating sound.
Vibrating sound? Oh yeah, the funnel's probably going crazy. I'm going to put a catch can on for that PCV there. And a catch can for this one as well.
Like 101, but it's red.
Yeah, that's okay. The transition is when it hits 101.
Oh, okay.
It's good up to 100, and then the computer determines when it's a risk.
Okay.
Like the numbers will darken when it becomes a risk.
And I
so
just let off the gas?
Yeah, and then we'll shut it off. But this should have opened. The rad fan's not coming on. Because you can see the rad's now at 95.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go to like 105, but that's the absolute most. Oh, see the engine coolant temp 2 is going down?
Yeah.
I think the fans just kicked on. Yep. Yeah, the fans just kicked on, so the system cycled. The engine temperature should go down too.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
So now we let it go down?
Yeah, well, it's at 16 minutes. I'll give it another 4 minutes.
Okay.
And then I've got to drain this oil, and the next oil I put in is going to last for another 800 to 1,000 kilometers. But that's the point when I can start driving it.
And you don't have to do this again? You just...
No, I just light throttle, not babying it, but you have to drive it moderate.
Yeah.
You have to put load on the engine, like in 4th and 5th gear. So you drive around in 4th and 5th with, say, 50 to 60% throttle.
Oh.
And you get it up to 4, maybe 4.5 at the most. And then you keep it in gear and let the gear slow down the car, because that's what will build compression. You want the transmission to slow down the car because it creates pressure on the rings. It's like a truck brake. You know how blah, 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 blah. You hear them when they slow. That's what they're doing. Is they're creating pressure on the engine.
Oh.
Anyways, press the clutch in.
That's this one, yeah? The left one?
Yeah, press it in.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
All the way in, harder, 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 harder.
Oh shit, what'd I do?
You're pressing on the gas too.
Oh, don't press on the gas?
Yeah, no, just it's fine. Just leave it as it is.
Okay, let go off the
No,
clutch.
is the clutch in?
All the way.
Okay. Let off.
What just happened?
Don't worry about it. Press the brakes very little.
Middle one?
Yeah, very little. Good. I think that rim that Robbie dropped off is a little bit warped. You can see it like hop up and down a little bit. In and out isn't that bad, but that noise you're hearing is the fact that the brakes have stuck for like 2 months. The engine hasn't been ran, right?
That's a little...
So press the clutch in 100% again.
Okay, no brake then?
Yeah, no brake. You're good. Now, what do we have for temperature?
101.
That's strange. It's getting back up there. It's not. It's maybe it needs to be bled through again. Hold the RPMs up, but do it very slowly. Get a feel of it, and then hold it back up.
To 2000.
Yeah, 1900.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
Just press it slow. Because this is just a base map, so I need to calibrate it. I wonder why after it's already cycled the coolant that is sitting at 103 for the engine temperature. You can see that the rad temperature is going down and the engine temperature, yeah, is following. Because it was 103, now it's down to 100. It looks good now. I mean, it's pretty much up there for time. So this is the first step of breaking in an engine. You run it for 20 minutes at approximately 2000 RPM. But I'd like to see the engine temperature settle properly, because it is floating a little bit high right now. It should be floating in the low 90s. I'm gonna check over the coolant once more. Yeah, it's up. Everything gravy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still up there in temperature though. It's funny because it's pushed coolant up. I wonder if the head gasket's lifted. I'm gonna do a compression check on it, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it tonight because it's fucking cold. I just went in timeout. Yeah, I don't know why it's fluctuating like that at a higher engine temperature. I mean, the rad and the whole cooling system seems to be working. It is flushed. I don't think there's air pockets, and I'm gonna feel around. Turn on the interior fan. Yeah, crank that one. Maybe it's got an air pocket in here that it needs to flush through. I'm gonna stand at the front side of the engine in case there's some things that we're not hearing based on the fan being on. Up?
95.
Nice. Is that the lowest it's been so far?
So far.
Yeah, because I think that it'll fluctuate less as it cycles more water through it. It probably needs to be bled still. I think I ended up, like the last time I drove a fresh engine, I left the reservoir bottle on and drove around the block down to the old Maitland store and back up here, and it was fine after. I monitored the engine coolant temp, but I don't remember it fluctuating like that. This is a good, like what it's at right now is good. Yeah, so we'll give it a chance to stabilize a little bit, and once it does, that's it for the night. Still locks up, then I'm going to program the rad fans to come on with the engine coolant temp sensor number 2, because I can switch it from 1 to 2. It's in the settings, which I might do for a little bit until it flushes through. But it's good to know that it's lasted. I mean, it's 24 minutes now. The first minute or so was us just cranking it to get oil pressure up, though. Yeah. Since we drained the oil, yeah, I'll let it crank to build up oil pressure. No, only the floor and the roof is on. You can change it, that one though. Press the first one. That'd be the floor in your hands.
That's nice.
All right.
Is that okay though?
Yeah, you're good. No strange noises from the front, so I think we're good.
Probably makes you feel warmer too.
Yeah, there's a strange sensation about being cold, because there's a point where you feel cold and you don't feel it as much. Yeah. And then you get back in warm temperature and they're like, oh shit, my fingers are numb.
Oh, it feels nice. I bet you can feel that too, eh?
Hell yeah, I can, even with both windows open. You can probably put your side up if you want to soak the heat. I only really needed this side up.
No, I got the heat on now.
I bet you do, you're just soaking it.
Oh yeah, I'm enjoying it.
So now that it's reached 94,
98?
the radiator temp,
Oh yeah.
the fans kicked on. They kick on at 93, so I might just turn them on at 90.
Yeah.
At least the fans, I seen them kick on earlier. They should be on right now. That's strange, they're not. The rad fans aren't on. I could have swore I programmed it at 93, like the stock, so that way the rad... I'll just put this down here so you can watch the temperature. And I don't remember which one the radiator is. There it is right there. See, it says 93?
Yeah.
Secondary. So they should have kicked on, but they haven't yet. I'm gonna turn that off. Make this 91. Or maybe even 93. That way the thermostat has a chance, or 4. Thermostat has a chance to open. Or, yeah, I don't want that. The problem is that the rad's got to flow before it circulates, but I want the engine to stay cool, so I want it to be based off the engine itself. Even 89.
Gonna bump the radio.
It should work. Yeah, everything should work on it. I think the source. What's this? Pop the trunk. I'm gonna see if the battery's in the trunk, but I can't remember if I left both amps hooked up. Yeah, they're hooked up. Both amps are hooked up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you can put on the radio or something.
Oh, I think just the volume's down.
That's because the battery hasn't been put in, it's not going to have anything programmed into it. You gotta go here.
Production. Says me.
There we go.
You call.
You love that shit,
DJ
eh?
Goofy White Kid on Instagram.
It went down to 94 again, eh?
Yeah.
But I don't think the rad fan's on now. Yeah, they're not on now. It was good to see them on earlier because they are functioning, but I think I'm gonna reset the temperatures of this based on the engine. So let the RPMs go down slowly.
Oh, how'd you guys meet?
Pretty sure as it is, we met at work.
Oh, what? Oh! I see Olivia and JoJo flirting in the studio all the time.
Let the RPMs go down slowly.
It's Mikey B. It's been a crazy week. It's crazy times right now. We're still partying. We're having a good time on the show, and I want to spread some positive vibes. I want to simply
See how it settles.
Why are you smiling?
Seems alright.
My second to last
Let it off the gas.
Yeah, let it right off. So it's idling on its own around 950. I think that's what I had it on this tune, 940. It doesn't sound like it has any crazy pops from idling, so that's good. Shut it off.
No clutch to shut off.
Yeah,
right?
just shut off, yeah. And I'm gonna save this data log.
And that's it?
Well, I'm gonna start it again to see how it works with the new coolant
Oh, okay.
thing. I think this one was revision 6. Yeah, it was. You know who this is in the background? Daft Punk. Back when they were good. Around the world, I think. Come on out, chick. Huh? You could take a photo of it from the inside too if you want.
You can send me a video if you want.
One more time. This is One More Time by Daft Punk. The interval. What do they call it?
What?
When you have a break between something, it's inter something.
Interval? It sounds like.
Interval, yeah. The interval is like a gradual increase. It's intervention. Intermission. That's what I was looking for. Intermission.
Your request in the mix.
One more
DJ
engine.
Goofy
Let's
White
be the
Kid
third.
on
3
Instagram,
strikes.
Snapchat, and Twitter.
DJ Goofy White Kid.
Yeah, I fucking love his remixes. I catch them sometimes on Fridays.
What is this, like satellite?
No, this is regular radio. You could use satellite on that. There, hey, Daft Punk. I'm surprised you put on the original. Alright, so we'll turn it down. And then we'll check to see how it's gonna do on the new. You can hear the rad fan on already.
Yeah.
Because it's based on the engine temperature now. So go ahead and start it. Clutch all the way in and start.
And then let go of the clutch, right?
Yeah, let go of the clutch.
And then put the RPMs up? Or no?
Or just leave it. Yeah, it'll probably rest pretty low, but the annoying part about this is that the coolant won't flow as much through the radiator now that I've turned on the fan. Based on the engine temperature, but at least this way the engine will have some air circulation if it does get up in temperature.
Yeah, heat on here.
Yeah, because we're still sitting at probably, like, the intake air temperature is going to be
If it does affect
wrong.
it though, I'll turn it off.
Oh, it's all good. The intake air temperature is going to be different now because it's soaking up all the heat from the engine bay, but I would guess that we're probably still around 2 degrees outside. At the most. Probably floating around 0. But I think the rad fans are on. Yeah, they're on. Mine are ticking in the head, but that's normal. All K-series do that. I think it sounds alright, but there's a heck of a whine coming from the bottom of it. And I'm not sure if that's pulley related or transmission, but I think it's transmission. I'm going to take a dip underneath real quick while everything's settling. Yeah, it sounds like transmission. It's just radiating through the engine. Again, the inspection plate is not on. That's the oil from the first start last night. Other than the leaf, it looked pretty good. shine a light for you, but definitely love my new maximum set. I also went through the magnetic drain plug to make sure there's no shavings in it. I got this one. I got that magnetic drain plug as a special order. It's just a Chinese one, but it surprised me because it's actually much stronger than the Skunk 2 one. I think it's because it uses earth magnets.
Is the aux cord hooked up?
Oh, it actually has my iPhone connector in it too. I was gonna play something, but yeah, go ahead. You can unplug that. If you find it hard to plug into your phone, I included this one, and it's longer too.
Oh, okay.
So
It should be good. I don't have a case on, so.
okay, so press source and then go to aux, and then the volume
It has
isn't.
to be all the way down.
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. I almost forgot about that. Thanks.
No problem.
You can rock it with something.
This is a remix someone made. It's Cardi B freaking out.
My brightness is way up though. Well, there it goes. Okay, now it's down normal.
It's getting real.
So that's more reasonable for engine temperatures now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do that for a little bit until it circulates the coolant. And I'm also going to check on the level too. Yeah, it's way up. It's pushed a lot, which is really strange because we didn't have this much in it. So there's guaranteed an air pocket stuck in it somewhere. I'm going to have to drive around the block and put some load on it, so that way it pushes that air pocket right out. There's a major air pocket in the system somewhere.
Yeah?
Yeah, because like it pushed a lot of coolant up in the funnel.
Oh.
But
That's good that it's out now, or what?
it's probably going to take a while to circulate, but the only way it's going to circulate is physically driving it around the corner. But yeah, you can shut it off. You can leave the radio on for a little bit, but we'll shut it off for now. I'm going to drain the oil.
Okay,
That's it for today.